This is the World Financial Report podcast. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us is our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping on July 19, 2018. Our time is 8:08 Mountain. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com or call 1-800-432-1022. U.S. dollar this morning at 95.04. Canadian dollar 75.56. Gold is at 12.17.70, has really pulled back. Silver 15.27. Gold silver ratio 79. Platinum 803. Palladium 894. WTI is almost at $70, 69.58. Brent 73.15. Nat gas 271. Bitcoin had popped up quite a bit this week. It's at 74.74.14. In Canadian dollars, it's at 98.89.03. The Dow at 25,122. S&P 2809. Nasdaq 7,842. TSX 16,477. And before we talk about the gold market and silver market with Harold, let's get an update on the fire that's happening in Colorado, where Harold is currently located. And I know here in Canada there are fires in the Okanagan again, in Kelowna. So good luck to everyone in the Okanagan. But Harold, what's happening in Colorado with the fires?
Well, we thought it was under control. However, that's not happening at this particular point. It's so dry out here. There has not been rain for over a month, so there's nothing really to stop fire. Coming home from dinner last night, there was a solid wall of fire on the horizon. It is very concerning. It seems to be heading towards Eagle Vale, which is another populated area in Colorado. We're just hoping that this thing gets under control soon. Again, it's just so hot and dry all over the country at this point, except for Florida, which is getting flooded. But at this point, it's quite concerning, Randy. It's not a threat to my home at this point unless, they get a big change in wind, but it is really concerning when you're driving home and seeing a solid wall of fire off in the horizon, and just very concerned for the people that could be in the path of this horrible fire.
What's happening on the gold and silver market? Give us an update of your thoughts.
Okay, well, obviously the gold market has broken down as the U.S. dollar has gotten stronger, so just another example of how strong relationship is between gold and the U.S. dollar. So when the U.S. dollar is very strong as it is at this point, it's getting back up over 95. You got the gold market falling, so it broke through support. It's now down to 12.18. We did hit a low of 12.10 this morning. There is minor support in and around the 12.10 to 1200 level, or 1200 level, but the market could easily go past that. If the dollar was to really gain a tremendous amount of strength and go back up to the level that it was just at the beginning of the elections when Trump got in, the U.S. dollar was trading at 104 at that point, so it's still about 9 cents away from the highs that we saw when Trump first came into office. But a move up about 9 or 10 cents in the U.S. dollar could literally push gold below 1100. So again, it's just a very amazing market when you really look at it, because the two major support and resistance levels for gold on the downside is $1,050, $1,050. On the upside, it's at $1,380. So you've got that $300 difference in price, but that is so important because just a few months back, gold did get to that 1370 level. It couldn't get to 1380 and have two closes above that price. However, many people jumped into the market prematurely thinking that gold was going to break 1380 and then take off from there. We waited for the confirmation, which we never got. So gold never broke above 1380, never had two closes above that price, which would have signified that the market was ready to go substantially higher. We got within $10 of that important price in gold, and then the gold market has backed off. So we're now down to around 1200, 1210. That's about $160, $170 drop from when the price almost broke above that important 1380 level. Now we're concerned about the 1050 level. There's very, very heavy support in gold at 1050. So it would take an awful lot for it to break it. But if the US dollar did take off and there were certain situations in the market, it's very, very possible that gold could actually do that. So again, we didn't pull the trigger. We were getting ready to buy gold. If it closed twice in a row above 1380, it got to 1370, didn't close at those levels, and now we're back to 1218 or 1210, which was low of the day. So that just goes to show you how important it is, if you are trading in these markets, whether it be stocks or commodities, to know your support and resistance levels and not to make moves prematurely, because it could turn out to be a fiasco for you, as it did more than likely for many people that were trading futures and options on the COMEX in New York. York, they had to find that their investment went south pretty quickly.
Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. Coming up in the second half of the podcast, we will talk about Argyle pink diamonds. The tender for 2018 is out, and there is some very exciting news for those that currently are owners of pink diamonds. This is news you do not want to miss. Stay tuned for the second half of the podcast. This is the biggest bubble in the history of mankind, and it's going to burst, according to Ron Paul. He was a congressman out of Texas. His son Rand Paul is a senator from Kentucky. He says, look to the stock market, and you'd assume Wall Street was doing just fine. The S&P 500 has come back to March highs. The Dow is back to positive for 2018, and the NASDAQ is at fresh records. It's all built on shaky foundations, said longtime market bear and former Republican Congressman Ron Paul. This market is in the biggest bubble in the history of mankind, and when it bursts, it could cut the stock market in half, he told CNBC's Futures Now. I see trouble ahead, and originates with too much debt, too much spending. This isn't the first time Paul has made these dire warnings. During a Futures Now appearance in August of 2017, he did predict a 50% drop in the market, a call that obviously he's doubled down on a few times since. Since that appearance, the S&P 500 has rallied 15%. Paul belongs to the Libertarian Party. He was a Republican, a faction that emphasizes constrained government spending. He sees federal spending and monetary policy as dual forces inflating a market bubble. The Congress spending and the Federal Reserve manipulation of monetary policy and interest rates, really the debt is too big. That's the situation. The current account is in bad shape. Foreign debt is bad, and it's not going to change. Paul isn't alone in his critique. A number of politicians have voiced concerns over ballooning deficits, including the current House Speaker Paul Ryan out of Wisconsin, who is going to be retiring. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that federal deficits will average $1.2 trillion a year starting next year in the United States, 2019 to 2028, according to April's economic outlook. Its 2018's deficit rose by $242 billion over previous forecasts made in June 2017. The federal agency said the revision was mainly owing to lower projected revenues tied to tax reform. And Harold mentioned that in the past with the tax cut in the United States. That means obviously they're bringing in less revenue. Harold, it's interesting to me that here you have a situation where everybody knows Niagara Falls is coming, and yet no one is paddling for the shore. They continue to go down Niagara Falls, and eventually they will go over Niagara Falls. Everyone knows what they have to do, and that is cut spending. But the truth of the matter is there are so many special interest groups, and everybody wants their share of the pie. No one wants cuts. Everybody wants things to stay the same. But truthfully, if you were just an average everyday person and you did this in your own life with credit cards or other spending, they would come and take your house away. They would take your cars away. You would be out on the street, and yet the government can continue to get away with it. At some point, you would think this has to stop. And I've even heard in the past when we've put together our free weekly newsletter, stories where if it gets to, right now in the United States, they have about 21 trillion in debt. If it gets to around 25 trillion, that's where it's almost gone to the point where it's too far. So if you think about it, they're saying that $1.2 trillion deficits 2019 to 2028, that means very easily you could have $30 trillion in debt in a matter of no time flat. And Harold, I personally believe this is something that we've talked about a lot on the show. It will be a factor in the future, and I think people that have hard assets will ultimately win the day, not those that are in paper proxies.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. The debt situation is concerning, very concerning, and it's going to get larger. There's no doubt, because we have a president in the U.S. that is not budget conscious type of thing. So I do believe that the debt has got to get worse. The fact is that there may be more people working right now to bring in revenue as far as tax revenue. The jobs are not extremely high paying jobs. So I just don't see how we're going to reduce that deficit. And with interest rates going up, which we know there's probably going to be at least another, one or two interest rate hikes in the U.S. this year, going to make carrying this debt even more expensive. Then add to the fact that we're fighting with China, who buys most of our bonds and most of our debt. They could really wreak some serious havoc on the United States. So, the situation is dire. There's no doubt about it. There's so much still that needs to be done within the United States. The infrastructure, the bridges, the roads, the buildings, everything have got to be redone, and that takes a fortune of money. The wall that the president wants to build is a fortune. Fact is, I see the debt getting larger and larger. I don't see more money coming in the form of tax revenue. So I see that the situation could get extreme. But the thing with when a market does crash like it did in 2008, it comes without a lot of warning. It's not going to sit there and say, okay, the market's going to fall, so sell out of your positions or put stop loss or whatever you're going to do. It just comes as a total shock, like it did in 2008, where the market dropped from 14,000 to 6,500 and nobody could stop that. We could see a very similar situation because, number one, of the debt situation, and number two, we have a president that is extremely aggressive, a bully, and starts fights like he does with Canada and Mexico, the two countries he's sandwiched in between, and then with Iran, and then with parts of Europe, and now with China. And who does he befriend but Russia? So he's really concerning everybody in the U.S. The whole talk this week, everywhere I went, was on Trump and Russia. So he's capable of doing something that could totally disrupt the marketplace. He could do something so severe without even really knowing that he's doing it that could cause this market to precipitate. So again, I'm in agreement that it's a very, very dangerous time to have all your money sitting in paper assets, mostly in stocks. If you're younger, fact is that a big correction in the market you can withstand. If you're older, if you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s type of thing, you may not be able to. Because when the Dow dropped from 14,000 to 6,500, it took forever for that market to come back. So for those that weren't wiped out of the market, which many were during that particular time, because some people leveraged stocks, or stocks went to almost zero. Look at what happened to General Electric, an $85 stock that is trading right now below $5. That's the same price it hit, when the market plummeted back then. So I would be very, very cautious. I don't have a penny in the stock market or anything paper at this particular time. So I would be very, very cautious. Put stop losses in the market. And if you get stopped out, wait for this big correction to come. It's a great buying opportunity, but to buy at these particular levels is extremely dangerous.
Now there are, and this is interesting, that's why we bring it up, people who don't believe there's going to be a correction. How does Dow 30,000 sound to you? You don't have to be crazy to believe, according to Dennis Gartman. Never been a huge Dennis Gartman fan, but it is interesting what he's saying. The Dow Industrial Average has struggled for 5 months to hold on to gains past 25,000. And economist Dennis Gartman says 30,000 is the real milestone to watch. Getting there would require a 20% rally, an ambitious leap for a gauge that is essentially flat for the year. But to Gartman, the longtime publisher of a namesake newsletter for investors, the Dow's anemic performance in 2018 has been nothing more than a massive consolidation phase in an ongoing bull market. If these past 6.5 months are indeed going to prove to have been a consolidation phase, then huge gains, perhaps sufficient to carry the Dow to 30,000, are technically possible, Gartman said in his letter Wednesday. He added a note of caution, as exaggerated and as stunning as that may sound. But Harold, interesting to note, and maybe we do have a blow-off phase where it goes to 30,000 and then that is it, and then we have some massive correction. But Dow 30,000, 20% rally from where we are today, I guess technically it's all possible.
Of course it's possible. We've seen it happen on both ends. We've seen the huge declines and we've seen the steady rise from basically 2009 when the market bottomed out. Now it went from 6,500 to 25,000, pretty well interrupted. So that's an unbelievable move. Now we also have to consider the fact that during that particular period of time, most of the world financially was in bad shape. So the fact is that once the United States got their act together and the market started heading higher, all this foreign money came into the U.S. It all came into the U.S. stock market. So that's what propelled the market. If we just had to rely on U.S. investors at that particular point. I highly doubt that would have happened because so many people got wiped out when the market dropped, in 2008 and 9. You had all this money coming into the U.S. because the U.S. corrected their situation before anybody else did. So it's very possible to see this market rally like we've seen it happen from 6,500 to 25,000. That's almost a 20,000 point move without any interruption. Quite phenomenal when you really think about it. However, when the market does fall, it can fall very quickly, especially at this particular time because there are nervous investors in the market. So there's close stop losses in the market. And when these positions get hit and the market starts to fall, they start selling off more and more and more stock. So a move on the downside happens a lot faster than it does on the upside. When the stock market starts to fall and people get sold out and then people panic and sell, that's when the market can drop like it did back in 2008-9. So the market's capable of making a long-term rally, but it's also capable of giving it back very quickly.
Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com. rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. And it's that time of the podcast as promised. We are going to talk about diamonds. And it's hard to believe. There are some quotes here that if you own a pink diamond, it is so exciting. Rio Tinto CEO Jean-Sébastien Jacques commenting on the 2018 Argyle pink tender, he says, people know that maybe we will have another 2 or 3 of these tenders before the mine closes. Harold and I have been telling you for a long time the mine will shut down in 2020, and that is definitely going to be happening. They also say, David Farden from Perth-based Linneys, what we've seen is the pink diamonds have been appreciating in the order of 10 to 15% per annum. Also, Josephine Johnson, the Argyle Pink Diamonds manager, said, it's an incredible rarity that's becoming appreciated the world over, and we do see bidding from all corners of the globe for these rare gems, especially during the Argyle pink tender. And in the Rio Tinto 2017 annual report, they said the remaining reserves underpin the operation until 2020, with opportunities to increase reserve estimates and extend the operation life subject to technical and financial performance. But when you have the Rio Tinto CEO coming out saying 2 or 3 more tenders before the mine closes, we know we're getting towards the end. So what we have here now is the Argyle Pink Diamond tender, and they have 63 of the most beautiful pink diamonds on the planet that are up for auction, and they will travel around the world. Everyone will get an opportunity to take a look at them and bid on them, and then somewhere in the fall we will find out exactly how the tender all shook down. But they have what they call some of the most beautiful diamonds ever. The Rio Tinto company unveiled its largest vivid pink diamond, Lot 1, the Argyle Muse, a 2.28 carat polished oval diamond. The dazzling centerpiece of the collection is the largest purple red diamond ever offered at tender, with an unrivaled potential of color that will be keenly sought after by collectors and connoisseurs from around the world. To add to its prestige, the Argyle Muse originated from a 7.39 carat rough diamond that yielded a second purplish red diamond for inclusion in the 2018 tender, lot number 9. So the 2018 Argyle Pink Diamonds tender collection comprises 6 hero diamonds selected for their unique beauty and named to ensure that there's a permanent record of their contribution to the history of the world's most important diamonds. So you have the Argyle Muse, which is lot 1, lot 2, Argyle Alpha, which is a 3.14 carat emerald-shaped fancy vivid purplish pink, lot 3, Argyle Maestro, 1.29 carat radiant, this is a square radiant shaped fancy vivid purplish pink diamond. Lot 4, Argyle Alchemy, 1.57 carat princess-shaped fancy dark gray violet diamond. Lot 5, Argyle Odyssey, 2.08 carat round brilliant-shaped fancy intense pink diamond. And Lot 6, Argyle Mira, and it's a 1.12 carat radiant-shaped fancy red diamond. And it's interesting to note 63 diamonds in total. But Harold, as I said to you prior to the podcast, the news we have for those that are holding colored diamonds, pink diamonds from Argyle. 2 or 3 more tenders, and that is it. 90% of the world's pink diamonds will be gone. It's very, very exciting.
It certainly is. Boy, that red is sensational. That purplish red, that's a large one. The largest red diamond ever found in history is just 5 carats, and it's priceless. There's no price that they can put on that diamond. Red are the rarest diamonds of all and command huge prices when they do come to market, which is very, very seldom. And the vivid pink that's over 3 carats is a rarity. That is an unbelievable diamond. Back in 2005, I purchased at the tender a 202 vivid pink Argyle. That is one of the top diamonds of my collection. So to see a vivid pink diamond over 3 carats is a true rarity, and those diamonds will be worth an absolute fortune. So how exciting is it that these diamonds came to market at this particular point, but also how exciting is it that we saw this as a potential huge investment for our client back over 10 years ago when we first discovered that the Argyle mine was going to close down and that they produced so few diamonds. So the fact is that many of my clients own Argyle pink diamonds of various sizes put away for their future. And it's only 2 to 3 more years for the mine to close down. And then you'll start to see some of these diamonds come to auction. And the prices, I believe, that will be realized will be quite spectacular. So I think we made a phenomenal investment in Argyle. Whether you've got a 1/4 carat diamond or you've got a 2 or 3 carat diamond, these assets will go up in value. And we are very, very excited for the potential of those down the road type of thing. I think a lot of families are going to do extremely well on their investment of Argyle. Now, we do still have Argyle diamonds put away. So anybody who does want to get in, the thing is 10, 12 years ago, we were talking about holding on to the diamonds for 15 years. That's a fairly long period of time to hold on to investment. Now you're only talking that the mine is going to close in 2 to 3 years. Now you're talking a much shorter term investment. So again, I think it's one of the better investments out there. I think it'll prove to be one of the best recommendations that we've made to our clients. And I'm very excited to see what these diamonds will fetch at auction down the road type of thing. So just very exciting news, Randy. I'm glad that came out this week.
Yes, it is very exciting. And I think, though, too, people have to understand who've been putting it off. Maybe they listen to our radio show, now the podcast, and, well, I'll do it next year. Or, well, I'll do it the year after. Now is the time. We're coming to the end. So do not delay. Connect with Harold at rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. It's interesting to note, Russia's most expensive diamond to go on sale, a unique pink diamond weighing 27.85 carats, which is mined by Russian diamond producer Elarosa last year, to be auctioned off for $500,000 a carat, but a rarity to say the least. Well, here we are towards the end of the podcast. A couple of interesting notes. Millennials want to retire by 61, but most have nothing saved. Millennials may have only a little saved for retirement, but they want to retire early. So I guess what we would say to millennials, you need to start saving. Jeff Bezos has become the richest man in the world, $150 billion. Makes you wonder when we'll have our first trillionaire. Of course, Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. Over the 36-hour period for Amazon Prime Day, their 2018 event, Prime members bought a whopping 300,000 Instapots, which are the crock pots where you put food in at the beginning of the day, you let it cook all day, and you've got a very nice meal at the end of the day. But that was one of the hot items with their recent Prime event. I know that Harold is a big fan of sports cards, hockey cards, baseball cards. A rare 1952 Mickey Mantle card insured for $12 million went on display. It's the holy grail of baseball cards. It's a pristine 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle, valued at several $1 million, delivered to the Colorado Center on Monday via armored truck for a 72-hour public display. So you can see that there are cards out there that are worth a lot of money. And when you talk about cards, there's the famous Honus Wagner card that sold for so much money, the 1909 card that Wayne Gretzky owned at one point, 1988, this week, in fact, July 16, 1988, that here in Edmonton, Wayne Gretzky got married to Janet Jones. And Alan Thicke was there. He's passed away. Gordie Howe was there. He's passed away. Defenseman Paul Coffey was there. Obviously, Mark Messier. And now, all these years later, Wayne and his wife, Janet Bennett have 5 children: Paulina, Ty, Trevor, Tristan, and Emma. And the big trade where Wayne was traded to Los Angeles that changed hockey in the United States. And now Wayne is a part owner and one of the people that run the Edmonton Oilers. But Harold, how time flies.
Unbelievable. Been so great for the game of hockey. Such a gentleman. You know, where most people go to where the puck is, I go to where the puck is going. I will never forget that quote. And I've had the privilege of meeting him on occasion. But, you know, one of my top sports idols of all time. And I'm so happy that he's had an amazing life. He's got a beautiful family.
Warren Buffett donated $3.4 billion to charities in his latest gift. Of course, he stated that he would be giving away all his money outstanding because he's a very wealthy man. A lot of people will benefit giving money to his children and their foundations and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. One of the things that I mentioned to Harold that I thought was very funny, in 2000, Blockbuster, and this is from Darren Rovell, in 2000, Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix for $50 million. This is one of those life is timing events. Today, Blockbuster is down to one store now in Alaska, and Netflix, Harold, is worth $172 billion.
Wow. They'll remember that forever. That was Wayne Huizinga, actually, from Florida, who started Blockbuster back in the day. Brilliant man. Very charitable. Did amazing things, you know, for entrepreneurs, and his legacy will last for generations. He was a very, very smart man. They really did a great job in South Florida.
And if you're a fan of NFL football, the Green Bay Packers season ticket waiting list, the longest in the NFL, now stands at 135,000 people. I understand that you have to go in person to sign up to get season tickets. Also, the Packers, they are the only public team in the NFL. They actually released their financials, and it came out that every team in the NFL pulled in $255 million from television deals worth about $8 billion. And according to the head of the Packers, Mark Murphy, who's the president, he said that the Packers were not affected by all the different shenanigans that happened during the season, whether you have a situation with Donald Trump or the flag or the anthem controversy. Supposedly, the Packers were not affected. And Harold, I find that very, very interesting that even though there was a lot of controversy, the Packers did continue on and do well financially. It's a glimpse, because all the other teams are private, it's a glimpse into the NFL and how the NFL teams are doing financially. And I would imagine a team like the Packers and even a team like the Patriots, with their incredible fan bases, are doing very well financially, Harold.
And Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, should take care of Tom Brady, because he made him over $1 billion in the value of his team. So it's all exciting. We've got the British Open going on this week. Tiger Woods playing, so I wish him the best. Dustin Johnson, who is the fiance of Wayne Gretzky's daughter, Pauline. They've had 2 kids together. He's playing in the tournament, so it should be an exciting weekend. And that was just very exciting news about the Argyle mine and the diamonds that came out. So great job on that, Randy.
Thank you, Harold. And people can get our free weekly newsletter, and you can get it from Harold. Connect with him at 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022. The website is rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And here in Edmonton, on Friday, it's the start of K-Days. The Stampede wrapped up, another successful Calgary Stampede, and the weather here in Canada has been very, very hot. And obviously, we've started to see here in the last few days fires in the Okanagan, and as Harold gave us an update, there were fires down where he lives in Colorado, so we wish everyone all the best. And Harold, thank you for your knowledge and another outstanding podcast.
It's my pleasure, Randy. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day.
Once again, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, 1-800-432-1022. Speak with Harold about Argyle Pink Diamonds. You heard it from the CEO. He's saying 2 to 3 more tenders, and that is it. The mine will shut down in 2020. There is an opportunity there. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report podcast. My name is Randy Marshall for Harold Siegel. We will talk to you next week.